This is the Wing Woman Show. Are you ready?
You're listening to The Wing Woman Show, and this is your host, Morgan Bars. Today on the podcast, we have Sandy Lynn of Small Business Tips, which if you haven't seen her high energy dancing TikToks yet, you'll want to head directly over to @SmallBusinessTips to check her out. But this is not her very first venture. So in this episode, we dive into how she got started and what ultimately made her transition into building a personal brand on TikTok. So without further ado, let's dive into today's conversation. Okay, so walk us back to the very beginning, maybe what you wanted to be when you were a kid.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, it feels like entrepreneurship just kind of creep into me, and there's no other career path other than entrepreneurship for me. Because growing up, I see my parents from a humble position, and then we're able to work them up to something and build a empire off of themselves and raise their kids. When my dad was in debt before, and then with debt he can still open a company and did well. So seeing that, I was like, okay, anything is possible as long as you have the determinations. So growing up, seeing that, I feel like I've always been pushed toward that directions, and I absolutely love it. I remember I'll go to my dad's company, and I'll just be like, let me just do the accounting and stuff like that. I'm just like, wow, okay, this is what I want to do every single day when I grow up.
Wow.
And
so what kind of company does your dad have?
so he has a waste management. So we recycle like bottles, plastic bottles and stuff like that. And at that time, and still it was very frowned upon in the industry. Is not, traditionally like cleans and stuff like that. People don't view it as glorious.
Right.
But so what, like seeing that, I'm like, you get to work, and that's why I got all my hard working from. I see the people around me, how hardworking they are.
Right. So how involved were you in the family business? Like, did you have a role that you would do on a weekly basis?
No, I don't.
You didn't?
I was a kid. I would go, I'll go. I remember I would go there, and then I would wait the bottle. So there's like grandma and stuff like that. They'll bring a lot of bottle and like plastic for coming in, and I'll wait them, and I'll give them like the change and stuff like that. So I'll do that on the weekend and in the summertime. But as I grew up, I'm like, I kind of just lay back.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
So it was like a full family affair though, because you said your grandma was there too.
Yeah, my grandma was there too. It's funny. Yeah, it's a really collective place.
Yeah. So going into high school, and did you end up going on to college after?
Yeah, I did. So I'm actually originally born and raised in Taiwan. And
wow.
Yeah, and in high school, I was very involved in clubs, and I was in student government and stuff like that. So it really made me realize how much I loved leadership positions and having an impact in what I care about. So I did go on to college. I go to Northeastern University. College is interesting because it didn't taught me how to start a business. It doesn't really teach you that much in the sense of giving you the skill, but it does teach you like networking. You have the opportunity of networking, and that's really how I utilize college in a sense.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, because we're the same age, and I started my business in college. I just graduated last semester, but I felt the same way about college, and I utilized it almost to play like a student card to connect with other people, because you were a student and everyone loves to help a younger student.
Exactly. I reached so many crazy people. I was just like, hey, I'm a student and I'm trying to have a company.
Oh, of course.
They would love it. They love that.
And so kind of going off of that, I know that for me, like the end of high school into college was a really difficult time for me because I felt like I wasn't living the traditional college lifestyle because I was traveling for my business and I was thinking like a 50-year-old businesswoman, like in my blazer. And there's not a lot of college kids who think like that. So did you experience something similar, or have you ever experienced something similar like that?
Oh yeah, I have. So I started my first business at 19, and at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about business. No one around me have started a business. All my friends are still partying, they're still going to bars and stuff like
Right.
that. And I'm just in my bedroom doing my like work, and it feels so out of box and so out of the norm in a sense that you're like, who am I to do this at all?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of just have to go past that, and once you go past that hump, everything else is a little bit better after that.
Right. I feel the same way too. I feel like after I was maybe a year to year and a half in and things started to pick up momentum, it like made me feel better about spending all that extra time and dedicating it, because it's such an emotional process to launch and run a business. And I think people really underestimate that.
Oh yes, I don't think people know how hard it is to be entrepreneurs, and I think entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. You need to be very committed to what you absolutely love,
Hmm.
and not getting tied up with the idea of entrepreneurships and
Yes.
money. If you're getting tied up with money and the idea of being an entrepreneur, you can travel the world, no, then please
Right.
don't get into
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
No, and especially now there's so many different traditional job opportunities that still offer the same
Yeah.
flexibility and entrepreneurship lifestyle. So hopefully I feel like now, especially with COVID, that it'll help people kind of figure out and realign with what they're actually supposed to do too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you started your first business at 19. What was that business?
Yeah, so it's a pet accessory business. I am a crazy dog mom. I have two dogs, and they're in my world. So I kind of just like, I was like, I love dog, and then I also love fashion. So I kind of combine them two together and it's
Right.
under the roof. And so we sell dog collar, bandana, leashes, and stuff like
Wow,
that.
yeah.
It was amazing. It was so fun just to all day my Instagram is just dog. How fun was that? So like I just absolutely love it. But yeah, I had that business for 2.5 years, and then it came to an end this year because I feel like I just want to do
Hmm.
something a little bit different. And yes, I love dog, but then I also love human interactions
Right.
as
Right.
well. And then I had the privilege of kind of selling that company out. Oh, I'm so sorry, my
No,
Slack
you're
is
okay.
selling that company off. So, and then that kind of aided with starting my second business. Yep.
Okay, so when you were 19 and you thought of the idea to open up that business, what was that process like? Were you kind of like on the fence, or were you full in, like you knew that this was the idea you wanted to pursue?
I kind of just knew. I kind of just start doing it. I'm a person who, if I decide, I do it right away because I don't
Mhm.
allow myself to have that doubt. Because once you have that doubt creep in, it's very hard to get started.
Yes.
Yeah. So I kind of just, once I thought about it, I kind of just, let's just do it. Why not? What do I have to lose? What, $500? Yeah, it's okay.
Right.
You know what? It's fine. Let me just start something. Maybe it will work. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, great. At least I learned something.
Yeah, and I think people struggle with that part a lot. And I actually saw this recent TikTok that had an amazing quote talking about how in the very beginning, people put so much weight on these precious little ideas that they have. And then those ideas can't even get off the ground because you're already putting this weight of like
Yeah,
expectations and sales goals. So I love that you were able
exactly.
to combine those two passions to launch and like monetize those two passions at the same time.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
after that business, when you closed out that business this year and you transitioned into small business tips, like what has that process been like? Because you went from working with all dogs to now you're like
Yeah.
interacting and working with people.
Yeah. It's funny because I've never been a person who's putting my face out there on social media. I've always been like on the back burner, and not back burner, but like back end of
Right, of course, yeah.
and I decided to, you know what, let me just go on TikTok, and no one knows me there. None of my family members follow me there. Let me just post something. And then I posted like my entrepreneurship journey there and got a lot of great response. I was like, okay, so there's people on TikTok who are young, ambitious, who want to start their business, but doesn't know how to, doesn't know where to go, where to start, no guidance. How can I help them in that terms? So that's where small business tips kind of born out of. So we're trying to create the end goal of our business is to create a place, a one-stop platform for entrepreneurs to learn about all things business from different coaches, founders, connect with other entrepreneurs, and just get guidance, and not feel lonely when they're starting out.
Yeah, it's so funny because I see a lot of similarities between both of our journeys, because I started the foundation side of my business called Gals with Goals to support girls going through college and open up the world of opportunities for them. And I feel like kind of for you, that small business tips is your way of sharing all of your experiences and helping bring up like that next generation of entrepreneurs too.
Yeah, I think that this generation's Gen Z, they have so much potential. Like, it's insane how smart they are, and I think that they're underestimated,
Right.
like they really deserve a lot of spotlight, and I want to help them get to where they want to be, in 10 years, whatever, and I'm going to see how amazing they become, and that's going to be the best reward.
Oh yeah, and I mean you're already doing it, because every single time I go on TikTok, I see like new TikToks popping up from you, and I love seeing them. So when did you decide that TikTok was like the platform for you to just put all your eggs in?
It actually born out of just pure curiosity, I guess, because when I got on TikTok, I was the person who in the friend groups, I was like, no, I'm not gonna get on TikTok, never. And I didn't download TikTok till May, when quarantine was almost like over,
Right.
And then I downloaded it. I was like, okay, like it's not just dances and stuff like that. And I saw how many people are popping off of TikTok like crazy. I was like, this app is gonna blow up in the future.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just hop on it, and I was like, you know what, I don't see a lot of people doing this the way that I would want to do it, combining educations and entertaining.
Right.
So I just got on and try it out, and it kind of just worked, and I was like, oh my god, wait, this worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, but like, where did you get your good dance moves though? Because your dance moves on TikTok are so good too.
Oh my god, I sucked before. But like, TikTok dances, it's the same move. As long as you know the move, you can piece them all together.
Yeah.
So, and then I kind of tweak the move. I remove the harder part, and I only do the easy part.
So, but I mean, it looks so good. Your TikToks always look amazing. So now that you've kind of been on the platform for a good amount of time, for people listening who have maybe like dipped their toe in TikTok a little, or maybe need to start on TikTok in the new year, what are a couple of tips or things that you've learned so far?
I would say be yourself. Your best bet is to stick with your own branding. Yes, pick a niche in terms of what type of things you like, what type of passion do you like, but you always have to remember that you as a person is your brand. How can you brand yourself differently and be more authentic, so make it more relatable? As long as people can relate to you, they're gonna follow you. They're gonna want to see your journey. So always remember that you are your biggest brand, and how can you stand out from others. Second, I would say, this is a little secret that I used when I first started out. I'm not sure if it still works, but when I first started out, I look at all the people who I create similar contents that I do, and then I interact with their contents, and I interact with their followers. I comment on them, and then I interact with the hashtag that I want to be related. So it teaches the algorithm that who are you trying to target, basically. So once I taught the algorithm that they show my content to the people who I want to be shown, and that kind of helped me boost up all my views and just teaches the algorithm, basically. And third, just have fun. If you're not having fun, people will know. People on TikTok, they have like weird laser. They can feel your vibe. If you're not happy with it, they really do know, because there's a period of time that I really just do it for doing it, and my view got dropped so bad, and I was like, okay, I gotta stop for a little bit, step back, and just revisit why I'm doing all of these. And once you find your groove, come back and have fun with it.
Yeah, you know, I love that last tip too, because I think as business owners or as personal brands or like whatever you are, you put so much pressure on yourself to produce content, because we all know that we need to be putting ourselves out there, and it becomes like a stressful thing that like sits at the end of your to-do list because you know you need to check it off. But what are some ways that you kind of incorporate it into your schedule so that it's not overwhelming, but you're still able to be consistent with it?
I batch film contents because if you don't, you get lazy, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I batch film 2 days out of a week. So I usually do it on
Okay.
Saturday, and then I do it on the midweek as well. One of the midweek, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on my schedules. But once I do that, I batch film like 5 to 10 piece content every time. When I batch film, I change outfit and stuff like that, and I have a bank of ideas that I write down on my Notion board, that so the topics I can pull from. And then when I'm not producing contents, I'm consuming contents, because when you're producing, 80% is consuming, 20% is creations, because you want to know what's going on the trend. So
Right.
with consuming content, so I get like, you know what's going on, because social media is ever evolving.
Yeah. So for small business tips, and you kind of mentioned earlier, like where you see it going for the new year, what are some ways that our audience can connect with you and to just support any programs or initiatives you have coming out?
Yeah, so Q1 is gonna be an insane, amazing year for us, but we're coming up with so many amazing, just free events that we're gonna be hosting with a lot of TikTokers,
Yeah.
educational TikTokers. So it's gonna be fun. I'm very excited. There's a few, like I think 2 events coming up in January, but our end product, which is our proto, educational e-learning proto for entrepreneurs, coming out in March. So stay tuned
Wow.
for that. A lot is going to be happening in Q1, and I'm nervous. At the same time, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, you are so ready for it. And I'll make sure to link your TikTok below too so that everyone
Thank
can
you.
just click directly over to it.